Hi. So here I am on my rowing machine about to record my heart rate and my heart rate variability. What I want to demonstrate is the impact physical exercise has on not only my heart rate but my heart rate variability, and I want to talk through some of the data there as I'm rowing. So let's see how we go. So okay. Okay, so I've just started rowing. My heart rate is now 114. It's going to continue increasing until about 150. My heart rate variability is 30. So when I'm not exercising, my heart rate variability is much higher, around about 50. When I start exercising, obviously my heart rate increases, but my variability decreases. So what that's referring to is the variation between beat after beat after beat of my heartbeats. So that variation from beat to beat to beat to beat is much less variable than it is when I'm in resting state, as is shown in another video that I made. So what I'm doing here is showing the impact of physical exercise on heart rate. Heart rate is increasing, variability decreasing. Have a look at that red line, which corresponds to rapid changes in my heart rate. You'll see that it's kind of increasing to correspond with my increasing heart rate, but the line itself is much less variable, corresponding to less heart rate variability, which is absolutely normal to have less variability, as the vagus nerve, which I'll talk about in another video, the vagus nerve is responsible for slowing heart rate. When we exercise, the action of the vagus nerve is released. So it's like you can think of it as taking the foot off the brake. So the vagus nerve acts like a brake to heart rate. So as I'm exercising, I kick in my sympathetic nervous system. My vagus nerve is released to allow the sympathetic nervous system to take over, increasing my heart rate, decreasing vagal function. So vagal function is indexed by this measure of variability, which you've got on screen, both as a number as well as that variability in the red line. So I'm going to continue exercising for another 5 to 10 minutes, and then I'll check in with you again soon. So I've been rowing about 13 and a half minutes. My vagus nerve is offline. The vagal brake has been withdrawn. allowing my sympathetic nervous system to take over and manage the physical stress that I'm putting my body under. Now, the sympathetic nervous system can, if the vagal function is less than it should be, it can take over when we don't want it to, such as when we're feeling stressed and we so our mental state can have physiological consequences. If we are in a state of psychological stress, our body is also under a state of physiological stress. Our emotions are tightly connected to the way we feel and the way our body responds. This is why positive health behaviours, engaging in positive health behaviours is so important. Not simply because over time we can increase our body's ability to adapt to physical stress, but it also increases the ability of our minds to adapt to psychological stress. Research has shown, large-scale, impressive studies are actually now showing that engagement in positive health behaviours, such as physical exercise, have profound effects on our mental state. So the recommendation is 150 minutes of moderate to vigorous activity per week. And the research has shown those people who engage in regular physical exercise have reduced symptoms of depression, anxiety, and reduced risk for common mental disorders. So it shows how important positive health behaviours, in this case physical activity, is not just for our physical health, but also for our mental health. So you'll see as I stop exercising now, my heart rate will come down quite quickly. My variability will take a little while to readjust to where it was. So you can see that line is starting to decrease, corresponding with a decrease in heart rate. And there's much less. That line is still, even though it's descending, it's still quite flat. There's minimal variability, as there was when I'm in a resting state or not exercising. Okay, I want to show you the impact that my breath now has on my high heart rate relatively rapidly. So have a look at that line as I start to slow down my breath, and you'll see big changes in that line as I breathe in and as I breathe out. Okay, have a look at this. So I'm actually finding that quite difficult because I'm still wanting to breathe quite rapidly. But by consciously controlling my breath, I'm bringing my vagus nerve back online. And the purpose of the vagus nerve is to slow the heart rate. So by slowing my breathing down, I can bring my heart rate under control and increase my variability. So you would have seen big changes in that line as I slowed my breathing right down. And this represents one way in which we can consciously manipulate our heart rate and our sympathetic nervous systems, because the vagus nerve drives what's called the parasympathetic nervous system, which counteracts the sympathetic nervous system. So the sympathetic nervous system has been described as the flight or fight system. The parasympathetic nervous system, which is driven by the vagus nerve, has been characterized as the tend and befriend system, or the calm and connect system. And these two systems of the autonomic nervous system counteract each other in a tug-of-war type relationship. So what I'm doing by slowing my breath down, I'm bringing the vagus nerve back online to regulate my sympathetic nervous system. And this can be helpful when we feel that sometimes our emotions are out of control. Is to just focus on our breath, to slow our breath down. It really has profound physiological consequences, as I've just shown. Anyway, I might leave it there. I'll give a little bit more context in the next video that I make.